Hi, okay. Well, I'm actually the last, I guess, lightning talk of the day, so this should work pretty well. And I'm going to talk about a project that's a little bit different than what we've heard about so far, but kind of shows some of the flexibility that we found with the Fedora system. And so I'm going to talk about some aspects where the library here at the University of Davis is looking at moving our research management system, which is kind of a VIVO-based system, into our Fedora implementation, which is what we call Fin. And in a lot of ways, this is kind of just an introduction to a description of our Fin architecture that my colleague Justin will be giving tomorrow. Fin actually used to be an acronym, but we kept adding different components to it. So now it just means Fedora ins things. And what it is it's like a lot of the people that have rolled their own using Fedora as their data storage. It's the methodologies that we use to standardize basic components that we think are required. Things like being able to plug in model abstractions based on the data that's found within the LDP, synchronization to your external applications like the search utilities that you use. We use Elasticsearch. It also includes an administrative overhead so that as you can watch and you can verify that the data is actually conforming to your specs that you might have for a model or something like that. And then we also use it to integrate with our standard methodologies of authentication and authorization and things like that. And so the client itself actually, Fin itself is headless. And so all the interaction with the client is based on RESTful calls back to the system. And to develop an application, then that's just an additional service that's added in to provide a UI to your one particular application. And we developed Fin, like most of the people here, to display the digital collections for the special collections here at UC Davis. But we have also been involved with a research management system, and we use VIVO. For those that don't know, VIVO is an open source software and an ontology for representing academic scholarship. It's both the ontology, but it's an application as well. It's all done in linked data. The ontology is in linked data. The database itself is in linked data. And you can do data imports via bulk imports or via individual edits. But it's a complete application. So the complete UI is organized around that as well. And we've been working with the VIVO system for about 3 years now. We started in 2020 when the library was tasked to very quickly try to bring up something to identify all the work that was being done at UC Davis in relation to the COVID epidemic. And from there, we actually moved into a prototyping stage where we picked up a faculty steering committee. We picked a few departments and we prototyped the type of information that we would show if we were having a more complete application. And that was given the go-ahead just recently. And so now we're working on our plans for developing a complete system for all the faculty at UC here. And as I said, as we moved along, we kind of moved away from the application component of VIVO, and we embraced mostly the linked data database and the ontology about that. And there were reasons about that technically in terms of the kind of way that we develop our tools in-house and the expertise we have. But there were also a lot of policy considerations for that. And the biggest thing was that our steering committee was saying that we couldn't add a new burden to the faculty members. So in our first prototype, in our first year of our new one, we really aren't sort of able to store any data because faculty are already obligated to go to all of these different locations to put data in. We can't do anything that could be replicated in another system. And there's a big one for the UC because of our open access policy. the California Library actually maintains a citation management system. So the open access policy is that for any research that you do, if the journal doesn't make an open version of that available, you need to put a preprint into an eScholarship location. So all of the data produced in the UC system is available through open access. And so in order to do that, the California libraries maintain a citation management system that actually also has a lot of bibliographic information as well. It's based on symplectic elements. And so our current system was basically harvesting these existing data points from different APIs, reorganizing it into the VIVO schema, putting it into a linked database. From there, developing our search documents, connecting with our other services in order to build our complete application. And so as we looked into the new version of this, we realized that all of those components that we were replicating in another application already existed in the Fin architecture that we were developing for our digital objects in our special collections. And the only difference is that we needed to think about a different way of our harvesting. And so instead of harvesting all of our data and thinking about that going directly into a linked database, we actually harvest little components of it and then store that as individual collection points that then are added as individual files into the Fedora system. And then we can use the rest of the Fin in order to maintain synchronicity with our search mechanism, in order to build the models that we need to provide specialized services over publications or people or whatever. And we found a lot of benefit from doing that. It gives us a good way of thinking about local scope. It has better ways for us to understand incremental changes for the entire data set that we're using. And it kind of limits back to a single application in the backend that we're developing it on. So it's quite a different set of data than we originally imagined for it, but we find that it's a very nice fit for that. And yeah, that's it for me.